Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I would like to talk with you about the mind, the troubled mind, to be more specific. It is the mind that is fighting against something that is dark, that is evil, that is unspiritual. It is that mind that is thinking of all sorts of negative thoughts. It is that mind that tells one to do any number of things that will kill, steal, and destroy. It is a troubled mind. It is a mind that the Lord showed me using a cartoon of all things in a vision. And it was a cartoon of this demonic being with a huge head. And it was red in color, and it had a robe on of all things in a hospital setting. And it was grabbing at its head and grabbing at its ears, and it was in so much pain. And as it opened its mouth, the teeth were quite sharp, like that of an animal out in a wilderness, like a tiger or a lion. Okay. And it was agonizing in such pain. And the Lord told me in the vision that the demon wouldn't bother me as long as I didn't bother it. And so I'm looking at this cartoon figure in this hospital setting with this robe on its body, with this shape similar of that of a human, but yet the head and the teeth and the eyes being huge, and the hands were like some kind of alien. It was frightening to look at, but at the same time, to just know that there is agony that people experience as a result of demonic influences. To know that there are those individuals that they can be their own worst enemy. And that as long as you don't go around them, they're okay. There is a lot said when someone says, "Leave me alone." That statement is a warning. It's a warning that if you cross my boundary that I've established, I will attack you. The Lord speaks to us about people who are battling with this demonic entity of sorts, whether it looks like what I envisioned, or it's something that looks very attractive and nice and doesn't look like it will hurt a flea until you get close to that person, until you marry that person or live with that person, until you spend some time listening to the stories that he or she tells you. Wait a minute. I'm hearing something weird. There's something that's dark about this person even before they open up their mouth. Leave me alone. That person has gotten to a breaking point. They're about to melt down. They're about to do something to you. You back away, and the person is left to their dark thinking, their dark self. They're back to scribbling on notepad paper. They're back to humming something strange. They're back to touching their ears, or they're back to doing something with their hair. They're staring off into space like they're frozen. They mean for you to leave them alone. Sometimes it may not look so bizarre, but that person is sitting there quietly and not interacting with the rest of the family. That's a leave me alone moment. But then there is that one who wants to brave the atmosphere a bit. Let's trek over there. Let's see what's going on. And then they're angered because the individual decided to say something to make them upset. That one that just wanted to be left alone, you see. But I wanted to go over there and just find out what was going on, and I just wanted to make him happy, and I just wanted to see. And, well, you just wanted to see, and now you got to see. Now what? Get over there and sit down and stop messing around and telling people that they should do this and should do that when it's obvious they want to be left alone. But you see, there are some folks who have a troubled mind, and they are the type that are very outgoing, but their mind is troubled too. And one who is the introvert who wants to be left alone and is going through his or her share of troubles doesn't do so well with the extrovert who wants to make everybody happy. You see, some of us learned over the years the hard way. If he wants to sit in front of a gaming device for hours on end, and he has obviously been diagnosed for any number of issues, wouldn't it make sense to just leave him be? Just because we want people to act a certain way doesn't mean that their mindset is capable of acting a certain way. If somebody has just experienced a major loss, they don't want to be entangled into somebody else's idea of what living is. Let me just take baby steps, okay? And then when I get to the type of life I want, then that is what I'm going to live, not what you put upon me. Come on. Someone out there has been trying to communicate with this individual who is sold out for all things godly, spiritual, wonderful, great, you name it. And that's good for you. But if that person isn't ready, it doesn't matter if it's your husband or it's your wife or it's your grandmother or your mother or your sister or your brother or auntie or uncle. It doesn't matter their title. The point is that when a person has established that right now in their life they want to be left alone, we are to respect that. Doesn't mean that I agree with it. Doesn't mean that I ain't going to talk about you. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to have my share of issues that I'm going to go to the Lord with concerning your behavior. But I will respect the fact that you want to be left alone. Sometimes people come right out and say it, and other times people's mannerisms tell it all. She didn't show up at the family event. She didn't call you. He didn't come around. He stopped talking to you. He dropped you like a frozen turkey. Listen, these people are communicating, whether they do it verbally or not. And when we respect people's boundaries, then we don't get bitten. Come on. But somebody recently in this network, they didn't respect someone's boundaries, and so they got bitten. I don't know who I'm talking to, but you got bitten because you were trying to do some things in your own strength. But I prayed about it first. But did you wait on God, though, for the answer? But I prayed about it. Doesn't matter. Praying about it doesn't act like, for some people they got to understand this. Praying doesn't act like, let's say, wasp spray or roach spray or home defense spray, right? It's not going to keep the attack from not happening in some cases. You say, wait a minute, but I thought that when we pray for protection, yeah, we pray for protection. But if God's will is to teach you a lesson by allowing somebody to bite your head off, so to speak, he's going to do that. But why would he do that? Isn't he a loving and awesome, a kind God? Yes, but he's also a God who's a teacher. He's a just God. He's the kind of God that when he tells you to wait on me, he means for you to wait. And you'll learn how to wait real quick if somebody bites your head off enough, if they curse at you enough, if they disrespect you enough. You will learn how to distance yourself from people when they start mistreating you enough, when they start abusing and using you enough. Oh, yes, sometimes you see, it's not good enough to tell people over audio or at the church setting or over the phone, don't get mixed up with so-and-so right now. But I love them, and that's my brother, that's my sister. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you, this isn't a good time. And they're not going to necessarily share what may have been shared with them behind closed doors from that person who you're after. Okay? Sometimes people feel more comfortable talking to other people about what is bothering them, but then they shut out everyone else. They're battling with that demon in their mind, and they're grabbing their ears and they're saying, this is what I'm going through, but I don't want no one else to know about it. I might have my sanity long enough to talk to one person, but then I'm going to go back into my troubled mind for a while and deal with this thing. Because if I was to deal with you right now, you wouldn't like me very much. And most likely we already got some problems. We're going to have problems on top of problems because God hasn't released me and I'm going through. You see, there are those individuals who are spiritual that are going through like that. But then there are those who are unspiritual, who are sinners, who are wicked, and they're going through much. And that's all the more reason why you don't need to be braving, the waters, testing them out a bit, because you already know that wicked people by design, children of darkness by design, will kill, steal, or destroy a person's atmosphere. They may go after them and kill them. They may steal from them. So why would you want to bring that person around you knowing that they have that type of attitude? Why wouldn't you want to trust that person in the arms of the professionals, you see, who can deal with them? Sometimes it takes police officers, it takes psychiatrists, it takes, the courtroom, it takes a whole lot of stuff, right? For some people to get up out of their troubled mindset. And then some people, they'll go through all of that and they're still troubled. And then you want to go to the Lord and say, well, how come, Lord, you haven't healed this person? I mean, you can do great and mighty things and I'm trusting in you. And some people do break the demonic stronghold, but other ones, according to the will of God, but other ones don't. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person or your prayers aren't getting answered by the Lord and all this. It's just that it's not what God wants. And I would like to explain why that is, but I can't, because God has his reasons, and sometimes they go above what we think. Okay. Sometimes they are just too complicated to even fathom. So God just relieves us from that stress of trying to figure stuff out. It is what it is. This person right now is just going through a lot. Okay. God hasn't healed them yet. And we just move on and we just pray for those who God is ready to heal. Okay. The troubled mindset is one that you can observe from a distance. You can learn a lot based on some of the things that they're saying and they're doing, or they're not saying and not doing. Some psychiatrists, some psychologists, and others do this sort of thing on a regular basis. Okay. And sometimes God will put us in positions where we are acting like those individuals. Okay. Who are studying. All right. And we're learning and we're noting some things. But then there are times in our lives where we experience trauma and great loss. And so we find ourselves in a troubled mindset, battling with a demon. OK, that is attacking our mind, attacking our senses, our five senses. OK, and in that vision, that demon's senses were being attacked. That demon did not want to be bothered. That demon did not want to do anything more than to be left alone, you see. So when people are communicating things to you like, leave me alone, stay away from me, or maybe not so bold, but saying things like, I just didn't feel like coming to that event. I'm just going through something right now. I don't want to talk to people. Or, I'm really busy with work. I just need some time away. I'm thinking about moving. I'm planning for a vacation. I've had enough of these children. I'm contemplating divorce. I've made plans for separation. I've got to get control of my thoughts right now. I'm thinking some dark things. I need to get away. Stop talking to me. Okay, these are all indicators that someone is dealing with some troubling things. And maybe you can be able to talk them through, but maybe you won't be able to. And when they are letting you know that they don't want to be bothered, respect it. Real simple, just respect their wishes. And in this way, you won't be inviting all sorts of trouble on your doorstep. Because some people will say things like, oh, you want to help me? You want to help me? Okay, here's what I need. I need $10,000. You got $10,000? I thought you didn't. Leave me alone. Oh, you expect me to call you? Okay, I'll call you. And now they're talking to you 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. I just wish you would get off the phone. No. You wanted me to call you. I'm talking to you now. You don't have time for me. See? This isn't the time. This is why God has us not talking to each other right now. You see? Right? So, how much more warning do you need? Sometimes you got some folks who, oh, you want me to come over? Okay. Matter of fact, what's that? That's my luggage. What's that? That's my bin. What? That's my boxes. You wanted me to come over, huh? You've been talking behind my back all this time about, I wonder when she's going to come see me. I wonder when he's going to. Okay. So here come all the bags, the boxes and bins. Oh, well, wait a minute. Exactly. God is working with that person. Leave that person alone. Just leave them alone. They already communicated that they want to be left alone. Well, I mean, it's been 5 months already. It's been 10 months. It's been 20 months. It's been 36 months. I mean, I want to see my grandkids. I want to see my daughter or my son. Jesus, help. And the Lord said, no, you don't. Not at this time. You don't know what you're asking. It may not be anything bad. It could actually be something good. And God just don't want some parents and grandparents and cousins and relatives to be a part of it. Because a lot of times we think, well, maybe it's a bad thing. No, maybe they're having a good time. And we just missed out because of some negative stuff we said or did the last time that person was around. Oh, yeah. I know, right? Some goody two-shoe Christians don't want to believe that. No, I never said anything to insult my daughter or my son. I mean, for God to allow them to have a good time without me, please. Well, maybe this is time for them to grow up and disconnect a bit and stop putting mommies and daddies on the throne where God should be. So they're having a good time. I know, right? It hurts. I know some of you parents, but it wasn't that long ago that I remember having a lot of stuff going on, especially in my 20s when it came to moms and dads. And, I just wanted distance. It doesn't mean I don't love you, because I haven't called you, doesn't mean that, I'm about to jump off a cliff. It's just right now I got a lot going on between college. I remember these days between college and friends and extracurricular activities. And then I had to work because I didn't have, the opportunities like other people where their families were just writing off some checks. So I had to work too. I did not have time in my 20s to be getting on the phone for long periods of time talking to folk. I didn't start talking to folk for long periods of time until I was pregnant. And then that's when I had more people in my life. And then once I gave birth to children, I had more people in my life because quite naturally they were curious about the baby and they wanted to see the children and all that. And then over time, as the children got older, nobody was really talking too much about the children, but they were talking to me about my personal life or what I was up to. And then over time, God was moving on my spirit saying, okay, this season in your life, going into your 40s, because I was in my late 30s at the time, going into your 40s, you are going to be disconnecting from some people because I got some plans for you and they're not involving others. Okay. And I don't need you to put that type of time into those relationships. Okay. Because we got work to do. So I had those seasons, the seasons where it was busy, seasons where it was not so busy, seasons where God was saying it's time to disconnect from some folks, especially if they were not where they needed to be. And unfortunately, some of these parents are not where they need to be in terms of walking with the Lord. So you're praying for your daughters and sons to walk closer to the Lord, but then you're not doing it. Okay. And so when you're not doing it, you really think that God is going to take his children of light and put them around people who believe themselves to be their own God and children of darkness on a regular basis. That's not going to happen, whether over the phone, text, email, it doesn't matter. When God has such a hold on children and children's children and so forth, those rebellious, negative, downright evil sort of, kinfolk, there is no place for them. And so you may have seen them going to family reunions and family functions and family holiday events and family this and that. And then eventually they start to fade to black. And it happens in so many different families and people don't connect the dots. She's a Christian now. She's a believer now, or he is walking with the Lord, or he's on a mission trip, or this one is involved with businesses and this one is got a number of investments. They don't have time for family like that because God got them. Some people forgot. They prayed those kind of prayers and they're seeing change going on with everyone else but them. Why? Because they are not sold out for the Lord. The one who's praying is not sold out for the Lord. I know. Isn't that interesting? Yes, you can actually pray for other people. They get blessing. You don't. How do I know this? Because I've been there, done it, seen a movie, and I was very upset because I said, Lord, you keep answering all these prayers that I'm praying for other people, but what about me? The Lord said, because you're not sold out for me. If you were sold out for me, then, and I'm like, what do you mean? And for some of you all, if you need some more explanation in terms of what it means to be sold out for God, there is an audio about that. Please do listen to it. So that is it. I thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Blessings to you. Please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. And once again, we welcome any comments that are appropriate, of course. Also, feel free to subscribe, like, and thank you. Blessings to you.